Hey everyone, and welcome. We're about to break down what might just be the most exciting part of your school year, the community project. Think of this as your personal guide to taking a cool idea and turning it into something that makes a real difference. So let's dive right in.
So, I want to start with this question. Just for a second, forget about grades and assignments. What if the work you did for school could actually, change something for the better in a community you really care about? Well, that's exactly what the community project is all about.
This line from your handbook, it absolutely nails it. This isn't just about what you know from a textbook. It's about taking the skills you have, whether that's from math class, art class, or even just your personal hobbies, and applying them to solve a real-world problem.
So, let's frame this the right way. This is not just another assignment to check off a list. Seriously, think of it as your mission for the year. It's your chance to step outside the classroom and do something meaningful. And what's so cool about this mission is that you are in the driver's seat. It's your opportunity to dig into something you're genuinely curious about, pick up some practical new skills along the way, and best of all, see your hard work actually make a difference. Every great mission starts with a quest, right? For you, that quest begins with picking a focus for your project. This is where you get to connect something you're passionate about to a much bigger picture. Now, to help you focus that quest, you'll look at it through the lens of one of these 6 global contexts. Are you passionate about mental health and well-being? Well, that fits perfectly into identities and relationships. Worried about plastic in the oceans? You're looking at globalization and sustainability. Just think of these as awesome starting points to launch your investigation. Okay, so once you've got a general idea of the what and the why behind your project, the next big question is how? How do you actually take your idea and turn it into real, meaningful action? Well, the great news is that helping can look like a lot of different things, and it all depends on your goals and your own personal style. Your project can fall into one of these 4 main categories. Let's quickly break them down. This table makes it super clear. If you're someone who likes to get your hands dirty, you might go for direct action, like organizing that coastal cleanup. If you're more of a creator, maybe indirect action is your thing. You could make storybooks to donate. If you want to change people's minds, you could become an advocate and design a whole campaign. And if you're a data nerd, you could do some serious research, like surveying the wildlife in a local park. You've got options. Okay, so you've got your mission, and you know the different ways you can take action. Now we need a game plan. Let's look at the simple 5-step process that's going to guide you from that first spark of an idea all the way to a finished project. See? Your whole journey is broken down into these 5 clear, manageable stages. It all starts with investigating the need. Then you move on to planning your strategy, actually taking action, reflecting on what happened, and finally, the presentation. It's a really logical cycle that takes you from start to finish. And I really can't stress this enough. That first step, investigating, is the absolute foundation for your entire project. A project with a specific, well-researched goal is going to be a strong project. This is where you ask the big questions and really get to the bottom of the problem you want to solve. And just look at the difference a solid investigation can make. A good goal is something like to raise awareness on school bullying. Fine. But a great goal is way more specific and full of action, to research school bullying on our campus and then perform a play to raise awareness. See the difference? The great goal is packed with details. Here's a pro tip. To get your goal from good to great, try to define who you're helping, how you're going to do it, and what the final outcome will look like. And just to help you stay on track, here's a quick peek at the major milestones for the year. After you get introduced to the project this month, your first big deadline is getting that proposal in on November 11th. You'll meet with your supervisor along the way, with your final check-in in March, all leading up to the big presentation on April 28th. And that brings us to the grand finale, the presentation. But please don't think of this as just a boring report. This is your moment to shine, to tell your story and celebrate the impact that you've made. And you get to be super creative with how you do it. You can share your story in whatever way feels right for you and your project. You could perform a skit, make a short film, put together a photo series, or even start a blog. The choice is totally yours. All right, last but not least, let's talk about how this all gets assessed. I know, it's a school project, but we can totally demystify this part so you know exactly what you're aiming for. The assessment couldn't be more straightforward. It perfectly mirrors the steps of your project. Criterion A is all about your investigation. B is about your plan. C looks at the action you took. And D is about how well you reflected on the entire process.
See? It's that simple. Now, the big question, how much time is this all going to take? The general expectation is around 25 hours, spread out across the whole year. And remember, that number includes everything: your meetings, your research, your planning, and of course, the time you spend actually taking action. And there you have it, your complete guide to the community project. Of course, all the nitty-gritty details are in your handbook, but now you've got the big picture. Your journey starts right now. So I guess the only question left to ask is, what impact will you make?